Hello and welcome to episode 16 of E30 M3 Recreation. I would like to extend my gratitude to everyone watching, liking and subscribing to the Car Lube channel. Please continue to do so, and if you think anyone would be interested in this build, please share it with them, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. In this episode, after the painstaking task of removing all the undersealer by hand, which we saw in the last episode, the shell has been to the sandblasters. This is a vital stage and we hope we won't uncover any more rust. Then we'll see the car for the first time almost in one colour after the white primer coat has been applied. It looks so pretty. When we consider how far we've come casting our minds back to the early part of this build, uncovering literally case after case of seriously poor workmanship and a blatant disregard for safety carried out by the previous body shop, you can click on the playlist link at the top of the screen if you have missed or would like to revisit any of the previous episodes, which document the hardship we have worked through. Our champion mechanic Spencer should give himself a real pat on the back for the achievement so far. I mean, it's taking a while to complete, but perfection takes time. Now, I'll hand you over to Spencer at the Sandblasters.
So this is the blasting underside the car. Car has been fully blasted off now. Under sealer removed. All the front panel fully blasted. Engine bay. Also done inside the floor of the car. Blasted all the way back to bare metal. Looks like brand new. We're going to have the car back at the workshop, so what we're going to do is they're going to prime everything, and once everything's primed I'll collect the car because we've actually found some more rust holes which are, I don't know if you remember in the video I show you, this bracket had quite pronounced rust around it and it's actually holed all the way through. You get the light there, so we'll have to take this bracket off, weld the hole up and put it back on. And again, same on the other side, this bracket holds the fuel tank, so we'll have to unpick the spot welds, make the floor and then put the bracket back on. So it's been blasted and primed, and yeah, so I'll just sort of show a quick walk around of the engine bay itself. You can see how fresh the actual engine bay looks. When we go in close you can see how nice the entire area is. Once that gets some seam sealer, panel sealer and brand new paint on it, it's going to look absolutely stunning. So just a step back of that again. And then we've also had the floor inside the car done. So you can see right from front to back, the floor inside the car looks like brand new. Just taken off all the original paint, just makes it so much nicer job. When you look in there, it looks like a brand new car, especially when you're going to get brand new paint on there as well. So going round to the underside of the car. So what we've done is we've had the entire underside stripped back to bare metal, and then with a blaster which has taken away any rust, and then we've had it epoxy primed as well, which is going to be sort of more of a waterproofing protection. So you can see how detailed the whole underside of the car is. Just looks absolutely beautiful. So now what's going to happen is we're going to obviously ship this car back to the workshop, reapply all the seam sealer on every spot weld joint on the underside of the car and in the engine bay. Once that's done, we're going to then ship it back to the blasters and get the whole underside, and well, everything primed is going to go white. So the entire underside is going to have white paint on it. It's going to have obviously brand new undersealer applied, and then in the engine bay, inside the car and inside the boot are going to be painted white as well. That will be obviously shipped back here as soon as the seam sealing is done. And once that's done, it will be white everything, so this car will actually look proper pucker within no time at all. So they are the rear diff mounts for the E36 rear diff casing. You can see how fresh the floor looks. They're the little mounts we've added on for the anti-roll bar. So yeah, so the entire front panel blasted right back to bare metal, all rust removed, inner wings. Car just looks like brand new. You can imagine what this car is going to look like with paint on it, even down to like details of the spot welds. You're going to see all the spot welds when the white paint goes on. So the entire inside of the car, including the roof, everything is going to be brand new white paint. Alright, so yeah, that's where we're up to. So the E30 recreation is coming back to the workshop today. It will probably spend a week or two at the workshop and then back here for painting. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and keep tuned. We've been going around all the seams on the car with brand new seam sealer. Obviously when this is blasted inside and out, the seam sealer was removed, so the metal has gone back to complete bare metal, and then we need to re-seam seal all the joints, make it waterproof, and make sure that there's a good amount of seam sealer in all the larger gapped areas where the two panels meet all over the car. I'll just show you underneath the car as well. So the whole underneath of the car has actually been re-seam sealed all the way along. Obviously we've done all the way around the back, all the way around all the joints. That stuff is obviously has to be applied before you can put the undersealer on, so we're doing it before it goes back to paint. You seam seal all the way along the boot, all the areas that got rubbed away. The majority of the car is done, so the seam sealing is done on the car virtually. The engine bay still needs to be done, but you can see how nice and crisp the engine bay is, how lovely everything looks in regards to the metal work. So what we'll do is we'll get the seam sealing done in the engine bay. I want to personally do that, so we get a lovely finish on it, and once that's done, the car can virtually go off for paint underneath and in the car, so the whole inside of the car is getting painted. Once we get it back to the blaster, he's going to obviously put the paint on everything, but we've got to do the seam sealing before we go back to the blaster so that we can apply the undersealer straight away. Once the undersealer is applied, he's got 6 hours to paint the undersealer to get a wet on wet contact so that the paint doesn't flake off. A little stone chip, and then the water, you know, from the wheels, or you know, as you go through puddles, peels the paint off if it isn't properly keyed to the undersealer. And we want the paint to stay on the actual inside of the car, so we're making sure every effort in every sort of stage is done perfectly. But yeah, the seam sealing now is virtually done. There's just a little bit more to do, and then it's back off to the paint. So it won't be very long before this thing's completely painted. Underside will be brand new undersealer everywhere and brand new paint everywhere. It is going to look absolutely beautiful. What a build. One of my best builds by far so far. And we've got another one just over here coming up fast. So this one's following suit. Literally brazed all those joints all the way down there. You can see the rear quarter is on. So this rear quarter is completely finished, inner tub done, back panel done. We are just now fitting a carbon fibre inner pocket battery tray, so that is just been fitted today. And then this inner tub is done as well. So as of tomorrow I can start fitting the last rear quarter on, and then so on and so on. The next project will jump onto the jig. So yeah, Ends Lister's car is coming along nicely. The little finishing touches before she goes off for underseal and paint. But like I say, there's a fair bit of work in just seam sealing and undersealing that people don't realise, but it all takes time to get it right, make the car fully waterproof again, so it's a longevity of its life. You know, the car should last a long while now.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next episode, where I expect the car will be fully painted white, ready for all the performance enhancing additions to be installed. See you next time. Hello and welcome to another episode of Car Lube. In this episode we've got quite an interesting touring car inspired E36 BMW M3.